All right, and welcome back to episode 71 of the Bench powered by Wowhead, where Growl is struggling to re-kill Dimensius. Growl, let's get a guild update out of you, because I think the last few times we've had episodes, we haven't gotten a guild update. Have you guys re-killed Dimensius since, I don't know, the last 3 weeks maybe?
Oh, jeez. I don't think we've killed it at all. I think we've killed one, and then that's it. I don't think we've re-killed a single time, and we just keep having more and more people either be done raiding for the tier or go to another guild or something. We had a little bit of an incident in the guild and a little bit of growing pains, let's call them. But no, we've not. I mean, to be fair, with Dinars, the 6 of 8 sales are like pretty dang good. A lot of people want to buy Fractalus and Soul Hunters, and so we're actually doing okay just doing 2 6 of 8s and then just wiping to Dimensius for 3 hours every week. I don't really mind that, so I don't know. But yeah, things are interesting lately.
Are you guys raiding again tonight?
No. Well, that's part of the problem is like we're only doing Tuesday, Wednesday for 3 hours each day, and then like no more. And so like usually almost all of Tuesday is just 6 of 8s twice in a row for sales, and then we basically have like one day trying to prog Dimensius with people who have never done the fight before, and so we're just like stuck in P1, P2.
I will say the reason. What you're explaining right there is the reason that I quit raiding for a little while. The 2-day farm schedule wiping to the end boss because you have people on alts is unbelievably frustrating.
Yeah, I don't really know, like, to me it hasn't been so bad. Like, I had a fun tier and I also like got gear and I didn't really have too many problems, so I kind of feel like I'm just paying the tax right now. Like, normally as a healer, I'm like, F this. Like, I would be really tilted right now as a healer if I was, like, having to do this and I, like, still needed my Dimensius ring and I still needed gear and stuff, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, I'm putting in 6 hours a week to keep my guild together. It's not so bad. But, yeah, I don't know. I definitely understand the appeal of not wanting to raid anymore, because, like, why, right? Like, what's the point? Like, new expansions coming out, like, why, like, are we gearing our characters for this? Like, you have dinars, you can buy stuff from any of the bosses that you need.
Mean, retail is just dead as hell right now, right?
Lemix is going pretty hard still.
Okay, so that's not retail.
That is retail-ish.
It's retail-ish.
Retail-ish.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of the Lemix people, you're not, like, playing with them, right? It's just, like, a solo thing, so... Like, all the Lemix people exist. They're on my friends list. I see them logged in, but I don't really interact with them in any way.
I mean, I've been having fun with it, but it's not for everyone. I mean, there's also just a bunch of other games that came out, and it's the end of expansion, like, go do something else with my life for a little bit, so...
Yeah,
I did something 2 days ago that the pod, my co-casters and the viewers might not want to hear, but I actually created a hardcore WoW character, and that's what I did yesterday. That's how bored we are. I'm considering playing hardcore WoW again, like just completely dead server. There's actually a surprising amount of people that play. I was gonna say dead server, but I was honestly this is like kind of a troll take, but I just want Blizzard to like nuke the servers and get rid of Classic and all that stuff, so that whenever they come out with something, everyone's like hype about it, right? Like, I hate that I have like, oh, I can do this now, and like everyone's doing this ultra hardcore thing, like Peekaboo and all them are playing again, and it's like when inevitably Blizzard does do something new with Classic, everyone's like, I don't know, I kind of want that build up again where everyone's super hype, but everyone's like kind of playing and dabbling back into it again.
Somebody asked me when you were going to stream again because it's been 2 weeks. Somebody asked me that today, and I go,
yeah,
I don't know, man. He got addicted to hardcore last time. He needed like a 2-month break, and you know, you never really know. He's gonna maybe take a break before next expansion.
Oh no, maybe related. I don't know. For me, it's like it's just hard sometimes to turn the stream on and just do stuff if there's nothing to do. And my schedule has been so erratic. Like, basically, here's my playing with WoW is I play my raid, right? So 3 hours on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then if someone asks me to do keys and I'm not busy, I'll do keys. But it's like, I have no schedule, I have no group, like, I have no anything, to the point where I'm not even logging into AFK and Dornagal anymore. Like, it's just that infrequent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's similar to most people who don't have a static group right now. And so, like, I don't know, like, do I turn on my stream and then do 2 keys and then, oh, some guy's tired and then we stop and, like, I don't know. So it's not really like that much of a disinterest in streaming, but it's more so just a lot of my days lately are just like sitting around doing nothing, just like watching YouTube, chilling,
Yeah,
watching streams,
I do.
watching Fellowship. I've been liking watching Fellowship more than playing lately.
Fellowship, I think, is rapidly reaching the point where I'm starting to have to like, do 100 resets to time a dungeon, and I'm like, oh fucking hell.
We love resil keys.
I have a question about Fellowship, and that's how much of it is actually like them improving on certain aspects of WoW, and how much of it is just the new game and the level of optimization in Fellowship hasn't happened yet to make
What?
it more unfun.
Well, I mean, it's both, of course. Like, I don't.
I think it's a lot of it. It's a lot of it for sure. Like I think I wouldn't say even so much improving, more so just a new set of eyes, right? Like you have the Blizzard people and the M plus. One of the biggest complaints about M plus is how formulaic it is and how balanced, especially lately, it has to be. Like they definitely take a lot less risks with things and just sort of like use the same formula for dungeons over and over again. And Fellowship kind of put a rattle in that, and they're kind of doing different stuff. And so, I mean, some of the bosses and some of the dungeons and Fellowship and like mechanics are just like way out there. But yeah, it's just different. It's just different and fun. But I don't even know if you could debatably say better, right? It's just like something new for sure.
The game is not balanced. Like in World of Warcraft, people, I would say they care a lot more about balance than the Fellowship people. Fellowship not balanced absolutely in the slightest, whether it be from class balance, whether it be from dungeon parity, whether it be from mechanics, whether it be from what you do. There is, I am. You guys remember Necrotic Wake? How you carry a flesh crafter around the entire dungeon? There is a dungeon in Fellowship similar. It's called Empyrean Sands, and you carry the greed spawn mob around for like 10 minutes and let it kill the entire dungeon for you. It's terrible. And it's like,
Yeah, that's a guy. He does like an AOE circle, and it like puts
Yes.
a stacking dot on everybody, including the mobs. It's like a dot, and it gives you a haste buff. And I think the intention was like get in it and then see how much haste you could possibly get. Except for it also works on the mobs, so you just drag it around and put it on the mobs in a really high key, and don't even go in it, and then it just kills the mobs. And so yeah, I mean, again, it's like fun, right? Because it's its own standalone game, and no one's really taking it too. No, okay, I shouldn't say no one's taking it seriously.
it's
But
not meant
if
to be
you don't-
balanced. It's kind of the
Yes.
important thing. It's a very different game. It's like an ARPG that's again not meant to be balanced. Where if you look at a World of Warcraft season, honestly, class balance impedes your ability to be able to play the game. And if you turn your 30-minute gambit into a Priory of the Sacred Flame that's untimable, yeah, you're annoyed. It's just the completely different design.
Yeah, it was just really interesting. Like I know affixes are a thing. People don't seem to be crazy about like people seem to accept them. Obviously Fellowship doesn't have sims yet, and I hope they never will, because that's a level of optimization that I think actually plagues WoW to this day. Because you don't like, while you may know what is best and what is not best, like there's no discrete data chart showing, Rhyme does 30% more damage than, I don't know, the other character. I don't know the tier list of heroes.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
I think it's more like discovering new builds and stuff like that is always kind of keeping.
yeah,
your
the game is
character
still
a little
so
fresh.
new.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of newness, but I mean that's how it is with any new game. I mean we're all going to be infatuated with Midnight whenever it comes out. We're going to be slamming 10-hour days, flying around, bugging, exploiting renown to be able to get. What did they even get out of exploiting renown at the beginning of the expansion? Whatever the hell it was. Doing the Halafal Arathi rep for... What did they do the Halafal Arathi rep? I don't even know what you did that for. Like 5 item levels on a piece of gear or some bullshit?
Yeah, champion level bracers or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to be doing that at the beginning of Midnight. It's just... It is a lot of newness with the new game, yeah.
Gotcha. Growl, oh shit, Oh yeah, so have you ever played an extraction shooter?
What does that mean?
I have not. They've always kind of interested me, but I have not.
I
Like
think
Tarkov
if
and
you
stuff?
are that, yes, if you are that bored and you're playing hardcore WoW, give Arc Raiders a try. I think it's great
Oh,
content.
I
You
did
just
see a
understand
lot
it.
of people saying very positive things about Arc Raiders.
I am typically not like a hardcore person. You know that about
Yeah,
me.
if you're suggesting it, that definitely is like
I
interesting.
have been gaming Arc Raider with friends, and despite sometimes like losing a fight and losing all my gear, because if you die in Arc Raiders, you lose all the gear that you brought in, that you looted and stuff like that. I'm having a ton of fun. It's way more
Is-
forgiving than Tarkov, but I think this is a type of game that you would enjoy.
Is the enjoyment going to go down a lot if I just like am solo queuing it randomly, like by myself? Is it like a with
Uh,
buds mostly game or no?
Go down. I mean, yes, because you're not playing with friends, right? Like any game's more fun with friends. But I think
Well,
the
okay,
solo
that's fair.
experience is like if you can find it with more with friends, yeah, you'll have more fun. But I think it'll be pretty good as a solo still.
That's interesting. I definitely have a backlog of games that I should not be bored and I should be playing. I still haven't like I dabbled a little bit into Borderlands, but didn't play that. The new Dying Light came out. I really like that franchise. Yeah, I'll definitely consider it though. I did see some people who I follow on Twitch playing it recently.
Dude,
Yeah.
I think the last game Squishy recommended to you, Grau, was Supermarket Sim.
That
it was a
true. That was a
banger.
banger. That was a banger. I agree with that. That was a banger.
Wasn't it before, like right before War Within 2? Like
Yes, that was. It might have even been in this exact situation where we were giga bored, and my sleep schedule was just turbo cooked, just like it is right now. Like, good morning, by the way. I woke up like an hour ago, and I'm pretty
Okay.
sure was exactly the same situation. And I was doing these like I wanted to stream more, but I wasn't playing WoW, and I was just doing these like demon like 5 a.m. supermarket sim streams for a few days.
Such good content.
It was like
no,
Yeah.
War
seriously.
Within waiting room or something like that. He's playing
Yeah.
Supermarket Sim.
He's just checking out bread across the counter the entire time. But seriously, give it a try if you're willing. It's really
I'll
good.
consider it. I appreciate the recommendation.
All right, let's talk about WoW. Yeah, we need some content. I think that we're all kind of under the same impression. We need some content. Hopefully, the Midnight Beta ends up bringing us some. We do have a release date for the beta itself. There was also knowledge or like an explanation as to how it's coming out. It looks like it's coming out in 2 phases. The first week gives you all of the zones for leveling. There was some housing and stuff like that. And the weeks 2 and onwards, they're giving you Mythic Plus dungeons and Mythic Plus testing, some delves, updated transmog system. What are they updating with the transmog system? I actually didn't even notice this.
Basically, they're allowing you to, instead of per piece, you're allowed to assign it per slot. So like, let's say you have your clown outfit, Tettles. While you're leveling, you usually unlock new piece of gear and you change them out. But when you do, the transmog is on the old piece of gear and you look like a fool, not like a clown. So now, in Midnight, when that comes out, you can always look like a clown no matter what piece of gear you're actually equipped with.
Yeah, okay. We're going to have raid testing at some point and additional user interface updates. I think that this is going to be every single week for the rest of the beta cycle if I had to wager a guess. But
Additional user interface update. That is what most of us are hoping for. Many of those things.
I'm glad that they put this under the weeks 2 to 3 category. More UI updates, thank God.
I mean, this is the part where I think a lot of our viewers, especially, will be more excited for, because right now it's just mostly class changes. Because the stuff that is being tested is like leveling, prey, world quests, delves.
Devourer is like kind of interesting. Have you either of you played Devourer?
Not in real content, only to like figure out how the spec works.
I haven't played it myself, but I've been kind of around people that have been messing with it like a decent amount and like seeing stuff, and it's kind of interesting. Like it is like different, I guess. I don't know.
What would Evade say about the spec?
It's like kind of weird in a sense. Like I think it's maybe missing a little bit of complexity, or like maybe one more button or one more thing. Basically, there's 2 different ways that you can play the spec from what it looks like. There's sort of like if you go down the left side of the tree, there's these spells that like if you like jump in and jump out of melee, with like I don't remember the demon, but it's basically the hunt is like the capstone.
Retreat. Yeah.
It's like yeah, but either way, there's like those, but they don't seem to be that good, and it's also probably like a little bit annoying to play. And so it's gonna be interesting like what build ends up being good. Like, so the idea behind really maximizing your windows in your like when you go into mega demon mode or whatever and you're getting the big collapsing stars is like pretty cool. I think that seems to be like the highlight of the spec. But in terms of just like the normal rotation in between stuff, it's definitely like pretty simple and maybe missing like one button or one sort of like thing to think about. And then depending on how those play, like the jumping in, like basically if I remember, there was 2 spells. It was like Fellblade and the Hunt, where you like it gives you a bonus something when you jump back out or whatever. Like you can press the button again, and so yeah, they seemed like positive about it. Like they weren't like, oh, this looks terrible, I don't want to play this. But it was a little bit simple, I think.
Yeah, I I don't know how good it's gonna be because it has the whole like void form, Breath of Sinjigros that keep your resource bar up to not fall out of it. And it might, like, I'm curious about how the skill cap is going to impact that. Like,
Well, there's only one. There's two options. It's going to be broken or terrible. If that's the main gameplay loop.
it's
I mean, it
wild
has
to
to
me
be
that they just-
broken, right? New spec, new expansion, fan favorite. Like it has to be OP, right? Like there's no chance
broken
this
for
thing isn't
who?
OP.
Like, is it only going to be broken for the THDs, like World First Guilds?
PhD.
I mean, that would be ideal, right? Like that would be the best they could do is if it's broken, but only if you play the spec really well. Okay, obviously that's not great for WoW, but like that's better than it just being bullshit and broken for everybody.
Yeah,
Then they're actually like hitting the sort of like balance that you might expect.
I've lived this experience. I remember Surrender to Madness Shadow Priest, where it was dog shit, and your Shadow Priests would either die before they got to their third Void Torrent, or they would rank one person in your guild by 20% damage because they were skilled enough and had enough haste to be able to make it to the third Void Torrent. And it was like the feast or famine nature of stuff like that is. I don't tend to believe it's super healthy to be that polarized, where you're bot fragging or top fragging depending on mechanically rotational gameplay like that. But
let me correct what I said. I'm not saying that's a good thing. What I'm saying is like I expect the balance to be way out of whack anyway because it's a new spec, and so like that's the closest we'll get, I think, as opposed to just like it being doing 20% more damage than everything else anyway, like no matter what.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we got a beta release date. I'm excited to see some of the changes. I really want to see the dungeons. I actually want to see what they're doing with the Mythic Plus dungeons a lot, especially since we're seeing structural changes to what's going on with classes, whether it be via ability pruning, defensive pruning, and healers removing a kick. How is it going to feel, and what is the pace of Mythic Plus going to feel like? Because I think that to me is one of the bigger question marks, and obviously something that we speculated about a lot, but we don't really know anything definitive until we actually test it.
Yeah. Do you think the damage meter is going to be done before beta?
Before beta?
Yeah.
How's it looking right now?
Not good. It's not functioning still. The UI.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine if he's asking that question, it's not working.
well, I can't imagine that it was working. Does it do anything?
You can click buttons on it. You still can't show it in game without a script.
Okay. How hard can it be to program a damage meter into the game? That doesn't sound that bad, right? Like, I haven't programmed anything since college. Last time I programmed anything, I got my degree in computer science, and so it's been a long time. But intuitively, they make these add-ons, and they kind of just like pop up these damage meters pretty quickly. Recount and scatter were around forever. It can't be that hard, right?
Surely it'll work. No, I was with some people messing with add-ons and stuff on alpha, and they were trying to test if you could color nameplates. And it's really funny because the way it works, right? If you're out of combat, you can get some information and gather some data. And so the way it works is like if you're walking around a dungeon, you can color nameplates, like you can read the nameplates, but then as soon as you get into combat, you have no more data. And then you have no idea what's what, and then the nameplates like revert to the old colors or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just very weird. And I'm wondering if like is that gonna be a thing where like you use an add-on that colors nameplates only out of combat, and then you focus your mob, and then as soon as the pack starts, you're like, oh, I don't have that now.
Hero of the podcast, Terathal, working on a UI add-on. You see this?
Yeah. I didn't want to name people if they didn't know. I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But yeah, Terathal was one of them doing it. Yeah.
He's working. I don't even know if he's going to finish it. I'm just saying that he's working on it to try to see what actually can be tested with the UI changes on the alpha right now. And he was trying to create. He explained to me what he was saying is that he was trying to create something that looked similar to ELV UI.
I mean, it doesn't look bad. Like, here's the thing, right? I think everyone's just wondering if Blizzard can get the stuff working, right?
Yeah.
Like, is every single piece going to work? Again, like, I think the party frame features and the nameplate features are the big ones of, like, you know, are you going to be able to filter out debuffs? Is it going to be messy? I mean, I just don't think it's going to be the end of the world if it's not. Like, if you just have to use base frames, it's like not going to be great, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Like, it's going to be a little annoying with debuffs and stuff, but we'll get over it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is reverting back to the same conversation that we've had about add-ons for a while.
Yeah, and we got to stall for a little bit until we get the resil segment of the show.
Hold on, where do I see? Okay, edit mode. Where was the damage meter?
Well, Squishy said you can't even. It doesn't even show unless you use a script, right?
You can't see it without a script. All right, I'm
logging
logging back
watch,
out.
if you go to edit mode, it's there. Like, it thinks it's there in the bottom right.
Yeah,
right? But it's not actually there. Yeah.
Interesting.
There is something, the external defensive. See that there, Tuttles? Click it. It doesn't work right now. I don't think we've talked about this, but this is apparently going to be the replacement for, like, MRT, and, like, we'll be able to track externals
in your group.
Yeah, they said that this was coming. You knew about this, surely.
I feel like I didn't really gauge the impact that something like this was going to have.
Yeah, this is supposedly going to be an external defensive tracker. So for Ironbark, Guardian Spirit, that kind of thing, that will show up in this frame. What is on there cannot be changed by the player. It is determined only and solely by Blizzard.
I hate this.
Is this working as well?
No, it's not working.
Strange.
No,
okay, yeah. So basically, for the audio-only listeners, it just looks like your buff bar. Like, it's just this big thing of all these icons and numbers and stuff. It doesn't really, it doesn't look like it's curated or anyway. Also, notably, there are other things on there too. Like, for example, Vortex, Typhoon, Soothe.
Yeah,
it's not just like this is. Yeah,
it's different for every class right now. Like, this.
That's just okay. That's just like the filler sample thing. That doesn't necessarily mean those spells are there. Okay, I see now. Yeah, that makes sense. So we don't know exactly what's going to be on there. All we know is we won't be able to edit it.
Correct. It actually doesn't look too bad. Like, to be honest, like if Tuttles makes that smaller right now, it kind of looks a little bit like MRT, but like with icons instead of names. Actually, no.
Yeah.
Wait. Does
I don't necessarily think this stuff is that bad. You know, like having an Omni CD-esque thing or having an MRT. Like, basically what Squishy's referring to when he talks about MRT is, like, before Omni CD and or in Raid, you sort of have, like, a little widget in the corner of your screen that shows cooldowns that you care about. Like, the raid leader might have, like, you know, the big healing CDs, or the tanks might have all of the externals from all the healers. You know, the healers might have, like, you know, specific things that they care about, Innervate or whatever. That's kind of gone by the wayside, I feel like, where you mostly just assign everything and use liquid reminders for everything nowadays. But it is kind of nice to see and have or whatever. It definitely is kind of funny and kind of shows how behind they are, that's what they're putting in is the MRT notes that we used 3 expansions ago and not anything to do with, like, Omni CD or reminders or whatever.
Do I run the script?
Yeah. Then
and in this episode, Tuttles crashes his game in the podcast recording, trying to run a script on the beta.
Please God.
Okay, he has damage meters working. Now he is a boomkin, but he's going to be hitting these target dummies here.
Is it going to work?
I don't think so.
Maybe they just fixed it just for this episode of the pod.
It went away.
You have to run the script
again. It's gone. All right, it's probably not working
this week for sure.
I think they put the UI elements in. I think it probably is available before beta, maybe.
I mean, it is just massive dropping the ball if they get to any
the damage meter
in the damage meters. There's no damage meters in the game. Like, I mean, I agree that maybe there's some small possibility that it happens, but this would not be something I would worry about too much.
I'll be honest, I think the game would be better without a damage meter.
Just, I mean,
I
in general,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right, it's time to piss off the people in the comments. I actually agree. I think like, yeah, I think a lot of people have this disillusion that the damage meter helps them get better, and they need details to like learn to see where their damage from the abilities is coming from, which is like kind of sort of true in a way, but ultimately like you can use that at the end of the fight. Like you don't need to see the damage meters live in the middle of your Mythic Plus dungeon or in the middle of a raid pull. I agree that it's fun.
Yeah, I think it
but
adds fun. It does do they not only exist to like give you something to look at in the middle of a poll as opposed to focusing on what's actually going on? Isn't it just there to distract you? Like legitimately.
Probably, yeah.
Also,
My
it's
favorite-
only fun if you're owning, right? Like if you're not owning, this was something that happened to me in Lost Ark. So in Lost Ark, I played a paladin, I think, or whatever the paladin S class was. It was basically like an Aug Evoker, like a support kind of spec. It's like an Aug Evoker if you also had like some shields and heals and stuff. And I like was giga grinding that game, and I had like the craziest gear, but there was no damage meters, so I had no idea. It felt like I was owning. It felt like I was doing a lot of damage and I was owning. And then eventually somebody comes out with a damage meter or a log or whatever. And me with like my insane gear and like what I thought was doing my rotation well, I was doing like 5% of the damage of what a DPS was doing.
Yep.
And like obviously all my buffs and stuff, like if it attributed everything correctly, it would be like, I was contributing a lot, but I don't care about my buffs and stuff. Like I'm just trying to do damn. And as soon as I realized that I just did no damn and I just only exist to keep my buffs up and nothing else, I'm like, damn, this is way more boring. Like, what the hell? This sucks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that other games try to ban damage meters realistically, right? Like Final Fantasy, Lost Ark,
Damage
SWTOR,
meters.
I think.
Damage meters only exist to stroke your ego. I mean, that's like the truth.
Yeah, I also think that like in the lower levels, like in the trenches, that's when you also see a lot of the toxicity and a lot of the people like blaming each other. Like even though everyone is doing beans damage at that level, like you have everybody slinging shit at each other and blaming each other. Like I think if you're doing, whatever content with your guild or like, you're doing whatever reasonable level of keys, it doesn't matter too much. Like people aren't that big of dicks, but like, the people that like point out your damage in like a leveling dungeon or whatever is just like so bad.
I mean, damage meters used to be popular because the ease of logs didn't exist, right? Like back in the day, damage meters are how you looked at stuff before World of Logs came around.
Oh my
What is
god.
this?
Let me introduce you guys to the greatest YouTube video of all time, How to Be an Elitist in World of Warcraft by Asmongold, where he lists you the times when it's appropriate to link the damage meter. Acceptable times to link damage meter: boss kills, trash pulls, when you wipe the raid, AFK breaks, during a boss fight, when someone says you're not doing mechanics, and he's just got this video of him in the background smurfing in an LFR run.
True. When someone says you're not doing mechanics, that is actually such good advice. Because like,
link the damage
dude, why,
meter?
like if you're doing more damage than everyone, like they're the mechanics players, you're the damage players. Like, why are they telling you to do anything? Like, you just have to do literally everything. You have to do all the mechanics and everything and all the damage. Like, come on, at least do something.
They're like the Aug Evokers, of course.
Yep. That is an absolute classic.
God, I haven't thought about that video in it's got to be like 5 years at this point.
Yeah, we can't lose our precious damage meters. We need that going into the war with it or midnight. Jeez.
Okay. There was an interview with Ian Hazukosis.
Oh,
All right, Squishy. It says influencer feedback add-ons and WoW on console. There was an interview with Ian Hazukosis where he was legitimately asked about WoW coming to console. Not clickbait this time.
and realistically, he was like, "No. If this was something that was coming, we would announce it because let's face it, it is the right thing for them to do to announce it. It generates hype. So, not coming to console."
This is such a funny statement. There's no reason for us to hide that. We would just announce that. It's like people just have such a desire to like have this conspiracy or whatever. Like get the underlying reasons behind things. That's sort of the big reason that I've been like making fun of people or pushing back on all this, because you can go back through our podcast episodes over the last year or whatever. Like, dude, I've constantly complained about things being too complex. I've constantly complained about add-ons. I've constantly complained about defensives. And now we're finally getting the pruning that I'm hoping for. And everyone's like, they're doing this for console. This is the only reason. And I'm like, bro, I've been saying they need to do this for years. Like, this is what I wanted. Like, I understand that not everybody wants this, but things are so ridiculous now with how many buttons and defensives and, you know, all this shit. Like,
listen. Anytime you think about the pruning going overboard or the add-on changes, just think back to the bitching that was happening in War Within Season 1 and how everything was way too hard and everything was too complicated. And just remember how then Blizzard, you know, maybe tuned down the dungeons just a little bit, and just know that that is ideally what happens in the future, except game-wide, not just dungeon-wide.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy thinking about the fact that just this expansion, there was an absolute outrage. Like, everyone was so, and I'm not gonna try and defend it. I agree the difficulty curve was not good and those dungeons were very hard.
It was too hard.
But the fact that we've gone from everything is too hard, they're going to kill the game, to now everything is too easy, they're going to kill the game, in the span of one expansion, like
even in the span of like a half a patch, like.
Yeah, I don't think people understand the difference between depth and complexity. You can have depth without needing complexity.
I mean,
like,
Ian says it here.
Ian even talks about this. Yeah, Ian talks about this in the interview. It's like, having high depth does not mean you need high complexity. You can have really easy, simple to learn specs that are still really, really difficult to master.
Not to derail this conversation and just like be like, yeah, Fellowship does this, but like this, I was having a conversation with Dorky about Fellowship and this today, where the classes in Fellowship are way less complex than World of Warcraft specializations. And there's still depth and replayability in that game, because most of the replayability doesn't come from how you sequence your abilities. It comes from the content itself, right? It comes from, how does it feel to do the dungeons? How does it feel to play your character? What does the combat feel like? And World of Warcraft kind of has the same thing, where most of the enjoyment of the combat comes from the encounters, not from how do you sequence your buttons in like a 10-step process and reading a 75-page guide.
I mean,
is it like a weird prediction to say that Season 1 of Midnight might be very similar to Season 1 of War Within? Where, because I mean, that's what we're getting to, right? Like, that's part of the reason that we're doing this simplification of classes and all that, is to really get back down to doing mechanics, right? I mean, I assume that there's going to be some mechanics and like people having to use their brains and like some pass fails in these dungeons, no? Like, I kind of think that that's where that's the direction they're going to go. And I'm not necessarily saying they're going to be unfair or whatever. It's just there's going to be a learning curve, though, if everyone's going to get thrown 8 new dungeons and they're not going to have the Omega Terrathal week or a package soak in every single mechanic, and they're they're actually going to have to, like, you know, fail the bosses and learn what they do or look them up or whatever. And I think that you might see the, and it, I mean, I guess you could say it has to do with add-ons, but ultimately, like, because I mean, that's kind of what Fellowship is too, right? Like, if you go to the lower levels, like, okay, the really super easy levels are easy, but you know, as soon as you get to where there's any challenging mechanics, I mean, you're just wiping over and over again to people who don't know the mechanics, right? Because that's what that is. You have to like do all the dungeons and all the bosses and learn what everything does. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we see again in Midnight Season 1. Not because of the numbers checks or everything being really hard, but simply because them stressing doing the mechanics and like solving the bosses more so than they ever have before.
I think, I mean, would that feel like the War Within Season 1? I feel like the War Within Season 1 ran into the problem where things were too complicated, and it felt like you didn't even have a chance to time a lot of these dungeons. And, you know, Challenger's Peril was on 7s, and you were just kind of getting shit on all the way up. I don't think this will be like that. I think this is going to be maybe a bit more jarring of like an immediate, like, oh, this is what's going on with these dungeons. But then once you give it a couple of attempts, it's going to be ideally, in my mind, more consistent than what we had in the War Within Season 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I more meant it'll be similar difficulty levels, but you're right. It'll definitely feel different. It
Yeah.
won't be the same type of difficulty.
Hopefully, it feels different.
Yeah.
I mean, class is becoming easier. A lot of other MMOs, a lot of other games, you could have like 4 to 5 abilities or buttons, and that's it. You know, Guild Wars has I think 8 buttons. Lost Ark has 8. Destiny is 3, and it's a shooter. Like, some of the best games have very, very low complexity. I mean, there's a reason that like CS:GO is so watchable, or was so watchable before CS2 came out. But like, the easier it is for somebody to get into it, to understand what's going on, they can then use their knowledge to figure out how to apply it going forwards. And I think that's exactly what Blizzard's trying to do here. You don't need lots
There's
of
a lot of
buttons.
room. There's a lot of room to, especially when we're talking about difficult raids or difficult dungeons, there's a lot of room to have things that cause problems or situations for players where you can show your skill. I think the idea that there won't be any way to demonstrate skill, I think that players in WoW tend to call things easy when they maybe aren't. It's one of those things where, like someone will say, like, I'll just use an extreme example right now. Like, people, like, BM Hunter is, like, very, very easy. It's, like, one of the most simple specs, right? But at the end of the day, like, okay, well, then why isn't everybody doing 19 keys as a BM Hunter and, like, doing infinite damage? Like, if it's really that easy, like, clearly you're still doing something wrong or you're having some problems. And it's, like, people will complain about Arcane Mage or whatever. Like, this iteration of Arcane Mage is actually pretty simple, too. But at the end of the day, like, you're still doing things wrong. Like, there are still a lot of errors on the table. And honestly, I don't really, like, I think one of the problems with some of the very complex iterations of the classes is that the errors are so punishing. Like, it feels terrible to play a class where you make a mistake and then you lose 30% of your damage on the pull because you messed up, like, some sequencing thing or whatever. Like, I don't necessarily mind classes being more punishing and, like, okay, if you're blasting on Hunter, you're doing 10 mil, but if you're, not playing perfectly, you're doing 7 or 8 mil, right? Like, I don't think that's necessarily that bad of a thing. Like, I think that's like, it gives you something to shoot for, but at the same time, you're not, like, really super holding your team back or, like, really struggling if you're, for whatever reason, not doing well.
For as many tools as World of Warcraft has, it's so funny that you send things and then you determine what you should be tracking versus what you shouldn't based on how much of a damage loss it would be to not track it, right? Like you sit there and you're like, oh, it's a 0.3% increase if I track this and play optimally. That sounds like brain effort that I can't allocate towards that. I'll think about something else instead.
Yeah, there's a conversion just going from playing your class while playing the fight to hopefully more just playing the fight, I think, is the overall goal there.
Yeah, I mean the classes should be the vehicle. They shouldn't be they shouldn't be the only thing. But do classes in depth does create replayability in the content, and so you can't have your classes just suck. Like that's kind of the important thing. But I mean, in most situations, I actually think that Blizzard could go even more extreme with this. 1 defensive, 1 CC ability.
Yeah.
Then like that's the most extreme kind of version, and then that's all you have on each individual specialization. And there still is depth, right? The depth is created via the content, and you can have rotational depth on your character and how you play the game, and it can still be fun while now we're removing the bullshit where you're having to do an interrupt rotation and an elaborate CC chain and press a defensive or die. Instead, you're then using a defensive to mitigate an ability, and there's never any situation, not even like a one-shot. I'm not talking about one-shot specifically, but the situation where it's either press a defensive or die, those go away, and then it's like a very different landscape of what's going on.
I mean, I just think class complexity and, like, variety is such a strength in WoW that there's no chance that that's going away. I was talking to somebody about Fellowship the other day that didn't end up playing that much. And I we were sort of talking about it. And they're like, yeah, I like the game, but none of the classes really reached out to me. Like I wanted to play, but like nothing was like I got really addicted and hooked to. And it's like, yeah, if you play healer, there's 2 healers. Like if you don't like those 2 healers, then you don't really have much to play, right? Whereas WoW, like there's no way you're not going to find a spec that you like. I definitely sympathize with the idea that like I've been playing Ret Paladin for 17 years and I need Ret Paladin to be like this and now I don't like it anymore. Like that's definitely a somewhat legitimate concern, but if you just go into the game with an open mind, like, okay, in Midnight I'm going to look for a class that's fun, you're going to find a class that you think is very, very fun.
I think a lot of people are being incredibly closed-minded right now and basing it, I would almost describe it as fear-mongering, right? They're afraid of the unknown more than they're afraid of the actual things that are occurring to the game.
For sure. And afraid of change too, right? They don't want change, yes. They don't want unknown. They kind of just like, yeah, I mean, and those are legitimate things, right? Like everybody hates that. Squidgy mentioned that the other day, like, you log onto YouTube and they change the way the UI looks and you're like, this is terrible, I hate this. And this is like a group of like the greatest UI UX designers on earth is like probably working at Google or whatever, and we're just like, this is so stupid. YouTube is idiots, why are they doing this? But eventually you just get used to it.
I still hate the new YouTube subscription screen. I still hate it.
The YouTube subscription screen is dog shit. Like that thing is bad, but like that's bad.
The old one was so much better. The fucking thumbnails are like this big now, and I hate it. Like
that's bad for not because like you hate change, but because that I don't even know that version of the site is just terrible. Also in this Ian interview, something that. All right, what was this one, Squishy? What's the biggest evolution of the WoW community? Because I thought his answers for this were hysterical.
So the direct answer was basically the way that the World of Warcraft community has grown up with the internet. The internet has changed over the last 5 to 10 years, and one of them is the importance and rise of influencers. And Blizzard has basically had at that. And so the example that Ian gave was at BlizzCons, he usually talks to a bunch of people. He's hanging around, having a drink maybe. He talks to people. We've seen him in the hotels many times, taking pictures, talked and stuff like that. He mentioned that in up to 2016, 2017, he used to get really diverse answers that reflected their personal experience. But now, when he gets feedback from people, they usually list off a couple of issues, and within a couple of those issues, Ian would know exactly which video they've watched and who made that video, and the next 3 issues that they're going to bring up.
That's interesting. That goes against what I want to hear. My brain doesn't want to hear that.
I think it makes sense as to how it happens, right? Because like once you become a more, I would describe it as like hardcore player, or not even necessarily hardcore player, but you kind of inundate yourself into the World of Warcraft ecosystem. What do you start doing? You start seeking out content related to World of Warcraft, something that you're super passionate about, something that's your hobby. And then you see people who, have that same love and passion for the hobby that you do, but, maybe they're experiencing a problem. What is that problem? Oh, 10s are too hard in the War Within, so they're complaining about 10s. And then your favorite YouTuber Quasi releases a video, an open letter to Blizzard, where he's talking about, oh, Blizzard, please do these things to Mythic Plus to make Mythic Plus great again. And then it's like, and you sit there and you're like, oh, I actually kind of resonate with a lot of these problems. And then it's like, then you go to BlizzCon and Ian Hazakosis approaches you and you're like, all you can think of is that Quasi video, right? Because that resonated with you, and it kind of makes sense that that's the way it went down. It is. I wish that everybody would take some time to form their own opinions, though.
I'm forming my rebuttal.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like the idea, because like this is one thing. Well, okay, so this is what I guess. To be fair, he said this is people's opinions, not necessarily what they do. One of my least favorite things about the podcast is the idea that I'm somehow supposed to be the voice of everybody and telling Blizzard what the game should be for everybody, and the idea that Blizzard listens to me and then does things that I say. Like, I am a very small minority, and I'm a freak, and I'm terminally online. Like, the way that I want the game and that I have fun, like, is not what every listener should think, or, whatever, Like, I'm not trying to say this is undeniably the best thing for the game. Sometimes I get a little carried off in my rant. Sometimes I won't disagree with that, but, if everyone is echoing my points and they are changing the game for me, that's not necessarily a good thing. Like, I will agree with that.
I agree. Yeah.
But he doesn't say that they're doing that, right? He says that he notices that in people. And is this just like almost a statement for how everyone's like a sheep nowadays or whatever? Because he's really, all right, he's shit talking you guys. He's not shit talking us and the pod. He's shit talking you guys for not having your own opinion.
I think he should.
So really, this is y'all's fault.
Sure
so this is my official rebuttal here is that I'm just existing and that's y'all's fault. All right, y'all got to have some better opinions then.
That's one way of putting it.
An example of this is the Mythic Plus changes of the War Within. The discourse around Mythic Plus beforehand was at the high end, everyone was anti-affix, and that became the broad community view, even by people who weren't pushing high keys at all. They had to realize that these groups of people were almost playing very different games, and that the talking points now vanished almost completely because it was being driven by the very legitimate and real complaints of a vocal minority in the player base who were writing the guides, streaming, and making videos.
Okay. I think he's not wrong as to regards to influencer culture. I think this is a horrible example.
Okay,
I agree. That was my thought too.
We played it out for an entire expansion. I like the fact that they changed the affixes. I think this is a good change. Like, I wasn't like purely anti-affix, but like I think that even compared to like people in a similar level, at a similar level of us, I was definitely on the more pro-affix side than that. And I actually think that what they've done this expansion has been good. Okay, I'll champion their cause here. I think that they made a good decision with the affix changes.
I think they did too, but I feel like this is just a weird example to bring up because I'm pretty sure that everybody hated quaking. The lower group hated bursting. Every tank hated necrotic.
Explosive was garbage.
Explosive was abysmal for your healers and your tank and your DPS because you just got the heal.
Yeah.
And then you had bolstering and sanguine, which I don't know that I've ever heard any person doing even like 10 just being like, yeah, I really love bolstering and sanguine. They really enhanced my gameplay. Like,
This is a much easier rebuttal. Their affixes just sucked. I'm sorry, Ian. Your affixes just weren't good and they weren't fun to play. Like, I was listening to Dorky play Fellowship the other day, and I know we keep going Fellowship. But I mean, let's be honest, it's the only thing we can talk about. If there was 10 other Mythic Plus games, I would be talking about all of them, but there's only one, and there's whatever. Anyway, so Dorky's talking about affixes, and he's like, you know what? Fellowship affixes have been really fun, and it's making me rethink, like, maybe affixes could be fun in WoW. Yeah, they could if they were designed well, right? Like, the things in Fellowship, the affixes are completely imbalanced. They're completely just like nonsense and for fun. They almost make the dungeons faster in a way, and a lot of times the downsides are kind of like hand wavy and you don't necessarily see them. Like, for instance, the affix where you have a mob, and when the mob dies, it does AoE damage to all the other mobs around it. And so the idea is you want to chain packs together, right? The downside to that affix is every single mob has 30% increased health. And so if you don't use that affix properly, you are wasting huge amounts of time in the dungeon. But you don't really feel like you're getting owned, right? Like, you just sort of play the affix and then you run out the timer and you lose and you're like, what can we do better there? Whereas the affixes in WoW, I mean, I think Thundering is such a good example of this, right? We're like, in theory,
Thundering.
Everything about Thundering made sense. If people weren't, if you didn't play Season 1 of Dragonflight, it would give, you would like get this buff randomly, everyone in your party, and you would get a damage buff, but if you didn't link up with another party member, it would blow up. And it would basically do huge amounts of damage to you and stun you for 8 seconds. It would basically instantaneously kill you if you didn't link up with the person. And it was just like, okay, this idea that like, oh, you get a damage buff and you need to milk it, but if you don't milk it, then you're punished, right? But like, the punishments and affixes were just so severe, like, oh, well, we giga bolstered this one mob and it just roared and it just killed our entire party in 1 second. Like, I don't know. I think that,
dude,
you can make the argument and say that, oh, affixes are fine in low keys and low key people didn't really have a problem with affixes, but that's because like you can easily outgear those keys and like you don't get punished by them nearly as much, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the affixes just work, and they also redid a lot of the lower key affixes in a much better direction this expansion, right? Like, I think the low key affixes right now are better than any of the affixes that they've made in the past. I still
agree.
don't think they're perfect, but I do like the Xalatath affixes as well as the lack of affixes in high keys.
Yeah. Like, how long were we discussing, many, many moons ago, like, oh, all of the affixes should have a kiss curse component. Like, people made up, oh, bolstering, it also bolsters you and stuff like that. Like, sanguine also heals you, or you're able to soak the puddles,
BFA?
or like, yeah, exactly. Like, almost since the start, like, quaking also damages enemy mobs. And like, I'll be honest, reading through the Fellowship affixes, it looks like they took WoW's old affixes and
Yep.
turned them all into kiss curse affixes. Because I'm pretty sure there's a bolstering one that just affects players, and there's a quaking one that also hits enemies, if I
Yep.
recall correctly.
There's a volcanic one where if you dodge it, you gain all, like, you basically
See, it's
get
just like-
resources. Yeah, like how hard was that?
We call them quaking. There's a prideful affix. It's called Shadow Lord's Trial. People literally call it prideful.
Yeah,
Like, they did what Blizzard just, for some reason, just never did with their affixes, because they were so stubborn. They just stole WoW's affixes and turned them to kiss curse affixes, which is exactly all Blizzard needed to do.
I'm okay.
So-
yeah, the affix discussion is interesting. I do agree with his commentary on influencer culture. I think that this is more of a social media problem than an influencer thing, very specifically. Mostly due to the fact that, like, it's just so easy to, whenever everybody has the exact same equal voice via social media, to and we've discussed this in private circles about reading comments on our YouTube channel, right? Where if you read too many comments, the majority of your comments are going to be negative opinions about an individual episode, just because it's kind of like going out to eat at a restaurant. Are you going to leave a comment if it was neutral? Probably not. Are you going to leave a comment if it's positive? Also, probably not. Are you going to leave a comment if it's negative? Yes. But so, like, then if you start reading a bunch of comments on YouTube videos, it's just like, it's kind of the same thing as like the influencer culture, right? Where you're more heavily impacted by negativity than you are anything that's neutral or positive. And so, of course, like, those negative things are going to, or those negative sentiments are going to more profoundly affect how you view things. And that's why you also see a bunch of people making very largely negative YouTube videos, which I actually wish that wasn't the meta. I know this is maybe getting out a little bit in the weeds and more talking about just like a YouTube culture thing and like maybe like a state of society thing. But I really wish that the negativity wasn't a part of how to make viral videos, because negativity just sucks, and it just kind of sucks the fun out of everything. And if you just read a bunch of negative comments, then it changes. Like, I know for us, it can change potentially our perspective onto things and warp it into a bunch of lukewarm takes, which aren't indicative of what we actually even think.
Tettles, I think the comments have to say L Tettles on that one.
L Tettles was wrong. Yeah,
Tettles was wrong. What is this?
No. Oh, this is just, dude. This is just unrelated to the add-on stuff. But like, I saw this on Reddit, and it's just like, because we're bringing our Fellowship again. It's like one guy just like playing Fellowship highlights how crucial weak auras are for the game. You can't track any buff, add custom sounds or textures. Healers have to check out cast bar to know who is about to eat a one-shot bolt and protect them before they die. Important casts can't be highlighted and will wipe the group because you don't know how bad the outcome will be. Fellowship would literally be a better game with weak auras, and knowing that Blizzard wants to bring that into WoW is the most demoralizing thing I've seen them do in years. The next comment. Nah, Fellowship highlights how unnecessary they are. Fellowship is absolutely fine to heal coming from a Paragon healer. We literally have just like, this has separated the player base of WoW into like people who are like, yeah, this is great, I can't wait, and people who are like just dooming about like, this is gonna be the worst change it's ever been.
I mean, for some people, it might just be less fun. I was talking to AJ about this today, and he's like, I think I'm going to have less fun with the add-on changes. And I think for a player like AJ, he probably will have less fun with the add-on changes, and that is unfortunate. Like, I don't think it's going to be better for every single person, right? I think that there are some situations where you might end up having less fun, and it would have been better off if you had the add-ons. But the hope, ideally, is that in most situations, it is better for most players.
This is not like an announcement or anything, but this is something I was thinking about yesterday. I think that we should really try and have ELLESMERE on the pod.
We do need
and hear
ELLESMERE
what
on
he
the
has
pod.
to say about this, because ELLESMERE is somebody who's been outspoken about basically. I mean, he's a big add-on guy. He's a big weak aura guy. He's been talking about skill expression. He's been very politely one of the voices of reasons of the people who have been like anti-midnight, basically. And Fellowship sort of encapsulates that. And so ELLESMERE just recently started playing Fellowship. He kind of like didn't jump on the launch bandwagon, but he started playing later. That guy is, yeah, how long has he been streaming?
10 hours.
Yeah, that guy is so unbelievably addicted to this game. It is so funny. I mean, he's like he's been doing high key push with his team. Like, they're literally progging like 39 keys or whatever with his team. He can't call it right now. Like, look at this.
He's definitely progging a dungeon. Never mind. I can't call him right now.
Yeah. But bro, this guy, I'd be very interested to hear what he says, because I don't think this isn't like an aha, you're wrong, but I think I would like to hear how he sees both sides of it now that he's been forced to sit here and use a dog shit UI with no add-ons and no anything. I think he might say he would still enjoy the game more without it, but to me, this is a proof of concept that really what matters is, are your friends playing and is the game fun? You know, like, you can be addicted as hell to a game with a really dog shit UI and it doesn't really, you know, like, is it a little frustrating, especially when you're used to these things, right? When you're used to this weak aura that shows who's getting bolted on the party frames, and then now you don't have that, and it feels almost unfair when people die to those bolts or whatever. But at the same time, like, you know, it just is what it is. It's like, you know, you're used to playing PUBG in third person, and then you go to play the first person mode, and now it feels unfair. It's like, well, it's just different, you know, like you have a different set of challenges and different things that you face. But I think he would be a really interesting person, because a lot of times what we want to do, it's why we liked having Farfa on the pod, right? If having someone who has a different viewpoint than us, but has a lot of good points and just sees the game differently, right? And I think that I'd be interested to hear.
I'll hit him up next week and see if we can get him on.
Sorry, I kind of just like sprung this in the middle of an episode, but I was thinking about this yesterday, and when you brought up the idea of like, would Fellowship be better with weak auras, I'd be interested to hear some of his take.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, honestly. Like, yeah.
Okay. Anything else from this interview that was we need to hit on?
No.
Okay.
I don't. It just didn't sit right with me, the whole like influencer. I'm gonna shit talk everybody a little bit more. Like, I feel like people love to do this thing where they like read a headline and then they just like regurgitate it without actually like thinking about it or like how it impacts things.
I actually think that most people are okay. Like, I think that
yeah, for sure. That's all right. That's a good point. I'm like, for instance, all of our podcast listeners, they're very intelligent, very great, right? They think about things. They have good taste in podcast hosts. So not everybody, right? I don't mean everybody. I just mean the other kind of people.
The not you, but somebody else, of course.
Yeah. Like, this is one thing, like, you see this all the time with Wowhead, no offense, Squishy, but they'll post an article. Do they use clickbait titles? I mean, that's their job. They want you to click on the stupid article, and you guys fall for it every time. But, like, at the end of the day, people don't really think about things that deeply. So like one recent, sorry if you had this in the show notes for later, but one thing that got announced recently is there's a new currency for player housing that they data mined, right? And it's basically like,
have this.
Yeah, so essentially they data mined a new type of currency for the player housing, right? And people are like really, really pissed about it. And it's like, why did, like, think about it for 2 minutes. Why does a currency have anything to do with anything? Like, so you're mad that the store isn't going to use Blizzard balance and they're instead using these coins? Like, what exactly is so angering? Like, if you're somebody who thought that there would be 0 in-game player housing microtransactions, I could maybe see you being upset by this, but who thought that, right? Everybody who saw player housing knew that there was going to be some level of microtransactions. And so what are we all mad about here? Like, you're mad that the in-game store is going to use Hearth coins instead of Blizzard balance.
You want to take this one?
Oh, you can.
I think it's egregious that we're paying $15 a month for a sub, and then historically, hold on. Historically, we had very little to 0 MTX for an incredibly long time, and that changed probably around when Warlords. Legion, probably. Then Blizzard started actually adding more and more microtransaction cosmetics to the BNet store. But and more than anything, I'm not as offended by the store as some people are. It does feel really annoying, though, that you're paying $15 a month for a sub, and Blizzard's getting you on the box fee, and Blizzard's getting you on the $90 Brutosaur, and Blizzard's getting you on the $30 of Epic Edition for early access to the game, and Blizzard's getting you on now the store for the cosmetics for the player housing that you've been waiting for 10 years. And it kind of feels, crummy that everything has to be MTX'd whenever you're, again, paying $15 a month. That's not a cheap game.
I mean, I agree with you, but what does the currency have to do with anything? Like, what has changed? It's just like, this is literally just Wowhead reminding you that you're mad. Like, that's what this article is like. You're already mad, right? And nothing that you said is wrong, by the way. Yeah. I completely agree that paying for the base game, then having to pay for the extended edition to the game to play the game on the launch day because you don't want you have to get early access or whatever. Then you have to pay the sub fee. Then you have to pay the I agree. This is all bullshit, right? But what does this have to do with the currency being data mined for player housing? That's my point here is like, okay, this is something that everybody's mad about, and so this is just like an thing that reminds everyone that they're mad, and now they're just mad. I forgot I'm mad about this. Player housing currency. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, why is this specific thing? Oh yeah, sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I just don't see why. Like, this isn't really news. Oh yeah, people are furious. Yeah, see, star, expletive, April Fool's joke, LOL. Like, everyone's furious. But like, I agree, right? The idea of microtransactions in a game that you have to buy the base game and you have to pay per month is ridiculous. But what is this? Like, this is nothing. Like, this article is just like, hey, by the way, microtransactions, money, Blizzard greedy. And everyone's like, oh. Like, like, how is this how we interact with each other and with the world that this is an article that gets posted and this is the reaction? Like, it's just so weird.
I think I'm just so disconnected from why people get mad at games. I didn't actually think this would cause this much of a reaction, to be honest.
Oh, come on.
No, serious.
I mean, I probably agree with you.
Why the fuck does this matter? Like,
that's what I thought. Yeah.
If I want to support WoW, like, I will support WoW. If I don't want to support WoW, I won't support WoW. Like, I have no, like, realistically, WoW is a business, and in order to support the devs that keep making content, they need cash flow. How are they making that cash flow? Well, sub is one way. Am I the biggest fan of it? No. But have they like increased the price for the last 20 years? No. So like, I can't really complain too much. The box price, sure, but they've increased the amount of content that they've been having. Like, where else is this money coming from?
All right, I'm not gonna go as far as Squishy as to defend their monetization. Yeah. That was brave of you. Thank you for taking the aggro off of me there. But my point is just that the fact that there's a new currency being data mined means nothing. Like, this doesn't mean anything. Like, this is literally just like, hey, here's some art, here's some thingy, right? Like, that's all. That was the intention of the article, was like, hey, we found something, like, whatever. This might, this is what it's going to look like.
It could be like trader tenders for all we know.
Well, I mean, it just doesn't, like, everyone already knew there was going to be house microtransactions anyway. Like, they're mad that there's a currency for it. Like, I just don't know what specifically about this is making everybody mad that they weren't mad about before the article came out.
I mean, the real reason, like, in hindsight, is people hate the style of monetization. I like, assuming it is what we think it is, which is like you buy a separate currency with real life, and that, the bundle of 1,000 currency costing $10, but the thing they're selling you costs 1,100 tokens. Like, that style of monetization sucks. Like, in every game, in every reality, that type of monetization sucks, and you should just be able to buy direct. But that is what causes people to buy more. And it's pretty anti-consumer, but it makes people buy more, so people use it.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't really get into a lather about this specifically. I see where Growl's coming from. To me, it's just not a huge... I never liked the sub fee. I'm just gonna, like, I don't know if this... I think this is probably an average take, but like, I started playing the game when I was 18 after I got a job, and I literally could not have afforded to play the game until 2015 after I graduated high school. Like, that's kind of the situation, and it's like, the sub fee, paying $15 a month on top of the box price is just like, I just view that as like prohibitively expensive for people who are under the age of like 20, realistically. WoW is also not really a huge cultural icon anymore, so I understand why they would never go away from it. Like
Well,
logically, I understand
on.
why it's gonna stay because you've already
Hold
got
on.
your consumers. But
Thrall was featured in a United Airlines ad recently. It is still culturally relevant. Did you see that?
Based. I
no,
did not see that.
Oh my god. Let me go find it. You
oh,
guys
was it a
keep talking. I'm
United
gonna find this.
Airlines ad?
Yes.
Let me see.
Where the fuck is it? It was so funny and just out of left field. Yep.
What? He had Thrall and a guy in a Warcraft hoodie, and then Peppa Pig. What is going on here?
Well,
Is
WoW is still culturally right. WoW is so culturally relevant, right up there with Crash Bandicoot and Peppa Pig.
yeah, Crash Bandicoot and Bumblebee or whatever the hell his name is.
It was wild to see this.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I understand why they would never go away from the sub feed. Not my favorite thing.
I don't blame you. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people like old timers who know how to make gold. They just pay their sub fee via gold, right? Like,
Somebody's paying that though, right?
yeah, somebody's paying that, but that's what I mean. Like, it is, especially with the way, things are going for a lot of people. Like, it is really tough.
Blizzard makes $5 on every single WoW token, right?
Is it 5?
I think it is.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Is it 20 for 5? I don't actually know.
I think it's 20 for 15. Yeah,
20 for 15. Yeah. Sorry.
I think they're making $5 on every WoW token, which is like, I get it.
Do you ever see WoW ever being able to swap off that? Like, what is the
sub fee? I mean, they just have no incentive to, right?
Yes.
Like, sort of what Teddle said, the idea of the fact that the price hasn't gone up in so many years is a sign that, like, the percentage of it and the amount they care about it is a lot less than it was, right? Like, the hurdle of a sub fee now is way, way less than the hurdle back in the day. Like, dude, the sub fee in 2006 or 2007, like, that was a big deal.
That's like
$20,
$25 or something.
Yeah, right. It would be, it'd be the equivalent of like having a $30 sub fee now or something on a game. Like, that would be ridiculous. But they just, like, where's their incentive to get rid of it, right? Like, they just, well, to be fair though, one thing that they've done, now I'm being trapped into defending their monetization policy, but they've also added other things alongside the WoW, like, that you get with the WoW sub, right? Like the ability to play, I don't know exactly how classic works, like MOP, but if you have to buy that game or whatever, but I know like classic era and like hardcore and all that stuff, for example, that just comes with the WoW fee, right? Like, you just have a WoW sub and you can just play classic. You don't need to like do anything
I wouldn't
else.
mind if it was just a sub. Like, I think I start to get into the weeds whenever I feel like I'm buying a game, it's similar to how you buy any other video game, and then I'm paying a sub fee on top of it, and then they also have an MTX store, and it's like, most games only pick one of those monetization avenues, and somehow I have 3 of them.
Well, I think another big thing about why the MTX stuff sucks is, like, if you go to play Dota or Apex or whatever, for example, the microtransactions aren't necessarily the main focus of the game. Like, you're there for the competitive aspect of the game and playing it, but in WoW, the way that your character looks and your MOG and your appearance and your achievements, like, all this stuff is an interwoven part of your enjoyment of the game, and to have that, like, you get this, like, in Counter-Strike, for example, if they make this crazy knife or whatever, you're not really upset about it unless it's impacting the game. But in WoW, it's like, hey, that mount could have been used for something in the game. Like, that could have been an achievement or something cool in the game, and now it feels like you get that taken away. That's my biggest qualm with microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I don't know exactly how, like, I don't really care that much about mounts, but I always think that they need to have more rewards and cool stuff to earn in game. And so every time there's like the craziest cool mount that gets put in the store, and just thinking like, man, imagine if that was a new Mythic Plus or a new raid mount. It's like, but instead it's, pay $20.
That's kind of how I view it too. It's like, if I'm paying a sub, like nothing should be locked behind the store. Is kind of how I view it, right? I'm giving you $15 a month, one way or the other, whether or not it be a bought a WoW token or I paid the sub myself. You're getting $15 a month from me playing the game, and then it's like, I don't think any mount should be gated then behind a store, since I've already given you that $15 on top of the $60 to $90 box price for your game.
It's true.
Oh, what if
Like, okay,
the $15 sub fee gives you $15 of Blizzard balance to use in the store every month? So they don't remove the sub fee, but then you can also buy $15 of. Do you basically buy
kill
like
you.
amount?
But then I would need 6 months to buy my Brutosaur, girl.
Yep.
All right, whatever.
I can't believe my random rant of the week. I can't believe I just have the poor Brutosaur now. I debated over buying that stupid $90 thing, literally just for the mailbox, right? Because I had the other Brutosaur for the auction house, and now it's just the poor one. We're like, I'll be in a dungeon, and someone will be like, "Hey, does anyone have the auction house mount?" I'll get on the auction house mount, and generally I'm doing somebody a favor, and they're like, "So do you have a mailbox too, or what are you just gonna sit there on that thing?" And it's just like, bro, I can't believe I just have the poor Brutosaur now after paying 5 mil gold of my viewers' money for that.
Hold on real quick. Girl, if it came back, would you actually buy it? Like, honest question. No, like, actual question. Like, I'm actually curious. Like, if it were to come back, would you buy it? I need to know. Because you were debating it so much the first time.
If you're from Blizzard, please turn off the podcast.
I mean, it has a mailbox. Like, I don't have to use the Katie Stamp Whistle toy. It just doesn't feel like it's worth $90. It just doesn't feel like it's worth $90 for a mailbox. No, I wouldn't buy it. I'm holding strong.
Okay. Well, data mined in the last alpha build, there is a text file. There's no image right now that says catalog shop wildcard Brutosaur comeback.
It's crazy that you haven't released a post on it yet, but you're hitting us with this shit right now.
Dude, the rant of the week goes crazy. No one expected that to end like that.
Oh my god, dude! Squishy owns this shit. That shit is so fucking funny to me.
Brutosaur returning? Question mark? Question mark? Is the title of the podcast.
No, that is not what I'm naming it. That is not what I'm naming it. I'll probably name it something equally clickbaity. All right. In positive news, we got to get off the negative shit. In positive news, new Mythic Plus section is being added to the Dungeon Journal, where Mythic Plus has become a staple. Oh my god, what is wrong with this? Mythic Plus has become a staple of the in-game experience in World of Warcraft. When it comes to learning the moving parts of the Mythic Plus system, it can be a lot at once. What are the affixes this week? What do the affixes do? What is a keystone? To help assist with some of these questions, we are taking a look at the new Keystone Dungeon system section of the Dungeon Journal. And so basically, Blizzard is providing you more information as to what is actually going on in Mythic Plus dungeons. I wish they would go further, right? I wish they would actually do this with trash as well, not only just affixes and like how to do the dungeons themselves, but the systems, but like also what does trash do? I actually like that this change is happening.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a little bit overwhelming. Like, have you done the same thing I have where you use MDT as a dungeon journal? Where, like, you open up MDT and then you click on mobs to read their abilities and see what they do and stuff. That's something I do pretty consistently now with every patch to, like, oh, what does this mob do? What is this, like, because you don't realize, like, there's a lot of, like, really dumb stuff that people don't realize. Like, there was the footmen at the beginning of Priory, when you stun their defense, they actually have like a damage taken increase, but it wasn't displayed properly on nameplates for the first season. And like, I guess it doesn't really change the way you play, so it didn't matter that people knew that, but I'm pretty sure nobody knew that was a thing. At least when I learned it, like going into this season, when someone told me, I'm like, wait a second, I don't remember this. And then it started showing up on nameplates.
To follow Growl's thing, do you know what mob is a damage taken debuff after you break its shield?
In this dungeon? Or in this dungeon
season?
pool?
Oh, I know the answer.
Yeah, actually
the bench trivia.
Is it the PAX speaker Nikado Meldani?
Yeah. After you break most people don't know that because it's just a
The
random
mob's
debuff. But the second you break
stunned.
the shield,
I didn't know it was an amp. I knew they got stunned after you broke the shield, but that's
yeah, it's an amp.
also an amp. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see like them explain trash mechanics. Like, dude, this would be cool as hell. I don't know if the free advice if anybody from Blizzard's watching this part. If you open up the map while you're inside a dungeon as well, you should actually be able to click on the mobs or like see how much count they give. And if you right click on them, and then you should be able to see their abilities. That would be kind of cool. No.
I mean, if
Influencers
MDT will work, so we'll still have that via an
Yeah,
add-on if
but
we
like
want
it would be cool if it worked also in the game. Agree?
Yeah. Blizzard is very hesitant though to use anything but percentages. They don't want to give people the actual number of count. They want to give people the percentages. I've hated it for a while, but like unless they've changed recently, they've always been very against the
I mean,
exact
count
number.
is like I get why they prefer count or percentages.
I mean, it can
because
say percentage.
Yeah, exactly. It could say percentage for all we care. Like percentages looks nicer than, this gives you 25 count out of 575, and you're just like, to most people, you're just like, dude, just say that's 3.4%. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
I mean, Fellowship uses only percentages, right? It doesn't have count numbers.
Does it? Okay, I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I agree with you that that's something that Blizzard wouldn't do is show the actual count number, but they could show percentages.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, another news. It's not a bench episode if we're not talking about resilient keystones, and I saw a really funny as shit post on the front page of the competitive WoW Reddit where they were talking about resilient key propagation, and there was a visualization about how quickly an individual level of resilient keys is able to expand through the community based on individual players as well. Not even just like just how it happens across the region, but just how individual players impact this kind of things. And there was some graphs that I saw. Oh my god, look at this, dude! Just like these, there's this individual player who has propagated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to give 19 resilient to. Look at this shit. This guy gave 19 resilient as a first-hand transaction to all of these people, and then they gave it to all of these people behind them, right? It is crazy. He's given it to 38 people, who then in return have given it to probably another 1,000 people.
Well, so what does it define as giving it to them? So they used his resil key. Does it know that they used his resil key, or was it just that he was there?
Yes. So it shows relations between players, between player characters and nodes. Let's say my character A that doesn't have a resilient 20 key times one of the missing keys with character B in the group who already has 20 resil. This Mythic Plus run creates a relation between characters A and B, namely a direct edge between B to A. Repeating this for every character in the region that is timed to 20 resilient and a direct analytic DAG. And there's a couple of clarifications that they made on this.
Well, so that isn't exactly it though, right? So for example, let's say us three are doing keys together and Tettles has like resilient 21 or whatever, but we do my key. It'll look like it also sees that as like propagating, right? Because it just sees that Tettles is in the group, he has resilient. They're like, let's say I have a key I did, Tettles has a key he did, and Tettles is resilient. Squishy doesn't have either. And then we do that key and we time it and Squishy gets it. It'll see that as Tettles propagating to Squishy, but it's my key. And my key might not be resilient.
Yeah, that is true. That, and I think somebody in the comments said that there's an interesting note, but something that happened with the JB Frosty group in NA1 on your chart. You normally exclude groups of 5 that got resil together, but that group ended up being on your chart because it looked like so they actually excluded 5 stacks, which is funny, but it makes sense. It ended up being on your chart because it looks like Chain was missing 1 key, and then they ran it as a group, so it shows the link of 4 group members to Chain, but no other similar connections since they played as a team.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to like think about or whatever. And there are people who, if you're out on the streets, you can name a few names of people who are always in LFG with their resil key, who are always out there on the grind.
Yeah. I think it was just interesting to show how quickly it just gets, how quickly it expands across the entire region. I mean, even look day by day. 19 resilient key timeline. It was slow, slow, slow. And then at some point, it was just everybody had 19 resilient keys. And it's kind of the same thing happened on EU.
Yeah, well, and another, well, one thing about that I think is the difficulties of some dungeons are a little bit more imbalanced than they are this season than they have been in previous,
Sure.
or take more attempts as well with the routes people are doing, specifically Floodgate and Priory. So, like, a buddy of mine, I believe, and he might have been exaggerating slightly, but I think he said he has 21 timed of all 6 of the other dungeons, but he doesn't have even a 20 Priory timed yet. So he
Oh, wow.
doesn't have 20 Resil, even though he has 21 of every other dungeon. And it's like, yeah, so it's one of those things where, okay, now as soon as one of his boys gets a 20 Resil, like, then he brings it to all them, and then they ram their head down Priory, and they get the 20 Priory. And then he brings it to me, and then we ram our head down 20 Priory, and it's like, that was definitely something that existed a lot at the end of last season, was the really, really hard dungeons having that, like, in general, too, especially for, like, the easy dungeons, Resil is kind of like whatever, and you don't really notice it. But as soon as the success rate of the key trends towards 0, the note, like, the how much you care about it being Resil matters a whole lot. Because
Yeah.
you're like, you know, needing to run that 20 times before you can consistently time it.
I have nothing else to contribute to this.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I thought it was more interesting than anything else. I didn't think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. On to Q&A.
Sure.
All right. From Get Good. First question, he says, to the bench, my question is, what do you think about Blizzard reviving the guild leveling system? You discussed finding a guild to do the content. You discussed finding a guild to do content to do. What does it say? With to do. Do you think this would incentivize players to do more group content? With the purge of add-ons, do you think a guild leveling system would create more teamwork than relying on add-ons / weak auras? Now, I'm interested in your guys' thoughts. I feel like guilds are actually kind of dead. I hate it. I hate that it's like that, but I feel like Discord more or less kind of cannibalized guilds, where Discord kind of created those social circles that you would previously have in a guild, and now nobody posts in guild chat. I don't know what your guys' guild chat looks like. Nobody posts in my guild's guild chat. We post in the Raiders channel in my guild Discord, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Again, our guild Discord is popping off. We got like a 50-something day streak on the Wordle that popped up again. I think this is something that, as much as we'd like to point towards WoW needing to do better socially, I think that this is something that it probably exists in every single game across gaming, is that people do not use the game anymore as in terms of networking, and they use outside sources. I think that, like, I used to joke when I played Guild Wars back in the day that as I sort of got down to my, like, quitting time, I joked that it was like a real life messenger where I can walk around with the character. Like, I would still talk to all my friends in there, but then at the end of the day, I like wouldn't really be playing the game. I'd literally have it open on my second monitor and just use it as a chat program to talk to my other friends that play. But that's like just not a thing anymore, right? Like, you don't really log in to talk to people. You use Discord Discord to talk to people now. So I think that they definitely need to improve or try to help with grouping people, but I don't think the guild system is it. I think
I don't think it is either.
I think that they need to. I don't know exactly what they need to do, but they're smart. They'll figure it out. But help.
What question? It's hard because I remember whenever you first came on Titan Forge years and years ago, one of the things that you talked about was your availability being important to be able to get into groups. And like, you were like, oh yeah, I'd sit in Zoldazar just making sure that I was online so I could be available if somebody wanted to invite me to a group. Do you think that's less important in today's day and age?
It's still definitely a thing. I think that's like one of the big tips. That's like one of the big tips I would still give people, probably, is if you're networking and finding people, you're trying to like build up your Mythic Plus group. Number one, if you want to get invited, sit in Dornegal and sit AFK. I still think that's a thing. And number two, if you're trying to be the group organizer, be willing to leave that circle. Like, be willing to go on Discord and message somebody, because I'm telling you that, like, you know, I mentioned that earlier in the show that I'm at the point now where I just don't really play enough that I'm not logged in AFK in Dornegal anymore. Like, I don't care. But I still do keys. Like, people who message me on Discord and say, hey, you want a key? Like, I'll do keys with them, but I just don't, like, you know, I'm just not at my computer, or I'm like playing another game or whatever, and I'm not just AFK in Dornegal. So I think Unfortunately, the AFK and Dornagle strat is still pretty elite. But you could definitely bypass, like, that is a cheat code extension to that strategy, is to message people on Discord and don't only message people that are sitting AFK and Dornagle.
From Blizzard's standpoint, the amount of effort they'd have to put into guilds to even try to get them a fraction of what Discord already does for communities is astronomically high. Like, I think a lot of guilds will do stuff outside of WoW, and why would you invest something where people are going to spend a fraction of their time on, right? Like, people are going to use their guild Discord to talk about PoE or Fellowship or other games. Like, the guild chats between those games never, they don't share. But I will say that, like, it is one thing that if you are in game, like if you just finish raid, it is infinitely more convenient to type in guild chat in game than it is to go to Discord. But if you're, like, say, looking for someone at an off-peak hour, you're not gonna whisper somebody that is online in guild chat. You're probably just gonna go to Discord and at Raider or whatever you want.
You're not putting a link in guild chat.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really cool if there was, like, some kind of link between the two. So, like, you could basically go towards into, like, a Discord chat, and, like, a Discord chat could link with the guild in game. Like, that would be cool. I think almost every game should probably integrate that. Honestly, that sounds infinitely useful.
It's insane that they built in Twitter integration with the selfie camera, but they didn't build in Discord integration with the chat.
That would be lit. I don't see that ever being a thing, but that would be super cool.
No,
if
but, like,
in-game guild chat was linked to Discord.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens, but WoW, like, it's kind of what Ian was talking about. Culture has changed so much over the last 10 years. Discord has become such a forefront of communities now, and in-game guilds they're a relic of the past, really. That's basically what it is.
Yep.
All right, next question.
I actually really like this question. This one was on last week's show notes. We didn't get to it, but I'm very interested in what you guys think about this, because I've thought about this a lot.
Okay, yeah. The question this week from Shred. He says, with Blizzard just making an announcement about Hall of Fame Delve, I really wanted to put this out there. Making everything a one-shot mechanic is definitely very hard to accomplish, but I think things like Kai'Veza is more of a trial of patience as well as skill. I would really like if they did something more Mage Tower as far as difficulty goes. I don't find things like everything becoming a one-shot fun. In fact, it actually makes me want to put my hand through my keyboard. Thoughts? Do you guys think this is something that Blizzard is thinking of, or do you think it's just going to be another one-shot every time you make a mistake? If it is not fun getting one-shot all the time in Mythic Plus, when it was a thing, and this is definitely not fun in Delves or any content in the game. Thanks.
I can start, I guess. I think Blizzard has hit a very rough spot where they have to balance survivability of tanks, healers, and DPS, which, to say it frankly, is impossible, other than one-shots. With tanks as tanky as they are, there is realistically no way to do trickle damage that is meaningful to a tank that isn't lethal for a DPS. Lethal damage for a DPS that is survivable for a tank. Therefore, realistically, if they want things to be equal, they kind of have to do one-shots, I think, is the reality of the situation. I'll start there. If anyone want to chime in?
I think that it's a lot of times, too, I mean, you cite Mage Tower here, but I think it's more of a problem of, like, how delves are made. I think that we kind of always have had this take where we don't like the fact that white swings are such a common, mechanic for delves. And I think that, mechanics that could be more valuable for delves are things that do static amounts of, like, percent HP. But I think that the ultimate problem with the delves specifically is, what are you supposed to do with the significant role imbalance? And what are you supposed to do with the imbalance of Bran, or whatever Bran is in Midnight, whatever companion you have? Where, for Kai'Veza, the reason that Kai'Veza was easier on tanks is because DPS Bran was so much better than healer Bran, and DPS Bran, you would end up, if you were playing a tank, you would have a 7-minute Kai'Veza where you only had to dodge all those mechanics for 7 minutes, versus a DPS who had like 10.5 minutes, and you're just like, oh, well, yeah, so tank Bran's easier. And then you had healer Bran, and all the healers took 15 minutes, and you're just like, that's not that. Or you had tank Bran for healers, and that took 15 minutes, and that's not really a thing. And so I think that there's huge imbalances in that front. I don't think that Delves and the Delve Hall of Fame is something that's realistically going to be imbalanced, but I do think that Blizzard should focus on making the mechanics feel fair. And I think that that's something that they should continue to focus on.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it, and I think I completely agree. I also agree with the commenter, right? That getting one shot by literally every single thing, and then the difficulty being this encounter is 7 minutes long and everything one shots you is not necessarily the best gameplay. And it does feel a little weird to like, hear us talk about how great Kai'Veza question mark is, but I think that just goes to show how big of a desire there is for good challenging solo content in WoW, right? WoW is such a fun engine vehicle to play the game, we love WoW and we love different challenges we can do. Unfortunately, as Squishy mentioned, I think most of what makes a good challenge has to be role specific, right? Like it has to be catered towards, are you a healer, are you a tank, are you a DPS? And this was my biggest complaint, and that got me known for like calling people mole people and saying delves were bad at the beginning, was that delves were not role catered, right? Like they're all the same for every single role, and the main difficulty is that you're just walking through and dealing with white swings. And I would love if they made, so when he says mage tower challenges, and again, I'm interpreting what he's saying. He didn't say this, but what he means is catered to your class or your role, right? Like the healer mage tower, for example, like the whole beginning was using your CCs on the important mobs to be able to live through the packs. And the end of it was healing the NPC and keeping him alive while you're dodging and doing the baits. And it's like, this is stuff that you do in real WoW, but it's a solo thing, right? And I think that they need, if they want to make more good solo content, they need to make it class specific. Like a tank one should be about maybe gathering mobs or maybe living a certain amount or whatever, and a DPS one might not need to be so much about how do you live white swings, but maybe a little bit of dodging, but or also like a little bit tighter on the DPS check. Like when I did the Kai'Veza question mark, I did it as Fire Mage. Notably, I wasn't that good as Fire Mage, and I just completely scuffed my rotation the whole time. My kill time was so bad compared to anyone who was actually good at Mage, but I took so many less pulls because I knew that if I just dodged the lines on the floor, eventually the boss is going to die. But like, while it was fun, that's not necessarily what WoW is about, right? Is doing tank damage and then just living, right? Like, ideally, there's some balance there, whereas a DPS, you want to do a lot of damage. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. I guess it's not, yeah.
Counterpoints is like, I don't think that, World of Warcraft players love balance, right? Like, they love things to be balanced. I do think that this challenge difficulty kind of thing isn't something that's supposed to be balanced. Which is, maybe interesting to think about, but like, I don't
necessarily think balance in terms of like, healer, tank, everything needs to be the same difficulty, but more so like, as a healer, I want to heal. Like, okay, if I'm doing a challenging content as a healer, it's not about necessarily one-shotting, but like, stress my ability to heal while I'm doing the mechanics, like give me some mechanics to do and then make it so I'm doing a crap ton of healing, and if I'm dropping the ball and I'm not healing, then my party member dies, right? It's not necessarily like,
I mean, the Kai'Veza isn't a healing challenge, right? It's a healer who's inside of a challenge that was made for people.
You're a healer, you're a healer inside of a challenge. That's not a healer challenge. And I want to see more healer and tank challenges, and then therefore they can make maybe better catered DPS challenges of like, but keep in mind that like, let's say there was a DPS challenge where living wasn't hard, right? And it was more about your damage. I mean, that would be so boring and shitty for a tank or a healer, right? Like if living is easy and it's just about doing damage, like breaking a shield or whatever, killing waves of mobs, that would not be fun at all for a tank or a healer, I think.
I think just like one shots in a long form content represent a different sort of skill. It is a skill to be consistent, right? Like realistically, that is a form of skill. If you have a 100% success rate with the daggers mechanic, you could probably argue that you are more successful than somebody with a 95% success rate, because one mistake in a 10-minute fight will probably kill the 95% success rate player, and they need to get it to 98% in order to succeed, right? Like, for example. But like, I also think with the general idea of simplifying the raid encounters, part of the reason why I think myself and I know a lot of others don't like one-shot mechanics in raid encounters that feel unfair is because it's not just you having to be perfect in a 10-minute encounter. It's you and 19 other people have to be perfect over a 10-minute encounter, which makes it so that that mechanic is much more deadly. Could you imagine if like the Kaiveza Delve encounter was present in a Mythic Raid encounter, and you needed all 20 people to live for all 10 minutes? That would be atrocious, and people would be so mad about Tettles dying on on the very last daggers, and what the fuck, Tettles? Then somebody dies in the first daggers of the next pull. So like, if they're reducing that type of mechanical complexity in raids and dungeons, where are they going to put it? They're probably going to put it in solo content, because realistically, solo content is a lot easier to just be like, I fucked up, we go again. I fucked up, we go again. Compared to raid, where it's like, I did really well 19 out of 20 times, but the one time I fucked up.
I came out of Kaiveza describing it as like fair but frustrating, right? Like where every time I would die to something, it was like, God, I'm an idiot. Why did I move my character? Why did I move my character like that? I should move my character better. But it was like, it was still frustrating because you're disappointed in yourself.
Yeah. So you only have yourself to blame in this case, and I think that's honestly where one-shot mechanics belong for the most part. I think that's why we'll continue to see them.
I think that Kaiveza, though, is unique in the sense that everything was a one-shot mechanic. And I think that, it could, there's some probably afforded wiggle room to make it not everything's a one-shot mechanic on Kaiveza.
Realistically, they probably could have made the cup game, if you make an incorrect guess, 10% stacking damage taken. Or something like that.
Okay.
Like, punishing, but like not a one-shot if you just happen to fail at a cup game. Right? Like, I could see that being relaxed slightly, but I think this is about the level we're probably going to get going forward.
I mean, it's hard, right? It's hard to relax it at all, because I mean, when he says that it was a test of patience, I mean, it was. Like, that was the bit,
Congratulations, you got the point.
As soon as one line doesn't kill you, or one, intermission game doesn't kill you, or whatever, then, okay, well, now it becomes infinitely easier. When you have it's essentially giving you a free checkpoint in the fight whenever you want. Like, how many times did you die randomly that you could have killed it if you wouldn't have died to that one line or whatever?
Yeah.
There was also no phase transition. Like, Zekfir had a 50% phase transition, right? That was the bit, right? You changed and things were harder at 50%. Underpin was just a shit fight, and we just won't talk about that one. And then Kaiveza was literally no changes the entire fight. It was a pure endurance fight. You just gotta live for 7 to 10 minutes.
Literally brutal.
So, I think it's just that, like, Blizzard always talks about the wide variety of encounters they can do, and this is just a different type of variety. I don't think we'll see it all the time, but this is the one they chose for Kaiveza.
Yeah, I do, circling back to this a little bit, I do wish that they had something that was a little bit more role unique, as opposed, like, I don't think that that's what the Delve, capstone is going to end up being. Because I think it's just going to be kind of, what we've seen with Delves. But I do wish it was kind of role unique, like more so than your companion.
I hope kind of next, like, purely speculating, I kind of hope the next one is like a solo starter. Like, stands in the middle, just kind of casts at you the entire time, so you don't have to worry about, like, anything but casts, no white swings, and, like, just kind of, like, weird puzzles that you have to do.
Star auger.
Tell me that would not be cool.
No, you're cooking, I think.
Like, you get a symbol, you have to go to the right spot without tripping on the maze or something. Like, I think there's so much that they could do. And realistically, they could turn down the combat aspect. So, like, the boss doesn't hit as hard, he doesn't have as much HP, and just turn up the puzzle aspect if they wanted to. That's an avenue that they can probably do now with the removal of weak auras.
Could just be, like, a completely different amount of damage taken if you're in a DPS spec than if you're in a tank, too.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Growl, where are the poker chips?
I've been trying. That was like a discussion that I had, or like thought about. Because at first I'm like, a lot of people are like, oh, I barely noticed it or whatever. Or it's like, oh, that's just your thing. And then I'm kind of thinking about it. It's like, well, if you're doing a podcast, the one freaking thing that you can do is try and have good audio quality, Like, It's not so much to ask. It's like, out of every single thing, like, that's one thing where, even though I like fidgeting with poker chips, I can concede. But they're actually right here. I have them on my desk.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, congratulations. I'm gonna be reading out a code for a Midnight Epic Edition. Also allows you to get Midnight Beta. Blizzard gave me a code to be able to give away to you guys. # WoW Partner, and that code is 833W-W8TS PJXV5. Wait. Okay. Yeah. RBRM. Wait. Backspace N 34FN. All right. Good luck.